Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, what's happening? Welcome to the show, Black Focus Radio, the Wednesday edition. David Coleman in the house, expecting Robert Webb to be along here in just a moment. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you want to join the show. Of course, you know what we like to say is our issues, our solutions, our voices. We're here every day, Monday through Friday. And of course, don't forget the weekly sports magazine on Saturday mornings. We'll be back on the air. Saturday morning was out this past Saturday because I was in Springdale, Arkansas. The Friday night before, we had covered the Little Rock Central football game. And I just wasn't going to drive back from Springdale at, 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, the game wasn't over that late, but, the game was over about 9:30. It's a 3-hour drive, so I was going to be on the highway, 1 o'clock in the morning. In my younger days, my college days, wouldn't have been a problem at all. Really wasn't a problem this time, but as you get older, you like to say you get wiser. And I decided just to stay overnight in Springdale, which was an interesting prospect either way around. So we will be back on Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. talking sports. We had a lot of stuff to talk about and catch up on sports as well. So make sure you stick and stay for that. Coming up today, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We talk a lot about economics, especially black economics. And we will be talking to Candy Lowe. She is out of Tampa, Florida. And we'll talk a little bit about what she's doing to create a black awareness as it relates to economics, which this is nothing new. People have been doing it all across the country, but it's something that we need to think about doing as well. And I got a very interesting question I'm going to ask her. So coming up here in about 10 minutes, we'll call down to Tampa and get her online as well to get up to snuff on what's going on as well. We'll also talk a little bit about the new attempt on a black church by a white female, 16 years old, that was thwarted by some friends. She was planning to go in and shoot up a church. I don't know what that's all about, but we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Of course, if you've been following this impeachment hearing this morning, Ambassador Sondland, who was appointed by Trump, donated $1 million to the Trump campaign. He threw everybody under the bus. Trump, Pence, and Mike Pompeo. So we'll keep an eye on that as well as we move through the day. And I also want to talk a little bit as well about who's teaching your children. Got an interesting story that's from Alabama that, if you haven't heard about it, might surprise you, and why you've got to be focused on who's teaching your children, because everybody that's a teacher is not necessarily a teacher. And also, we need to start paying a little bit more attention to the disappearance of these children, particularly black and white, black girls and black boys, but all children for whatever reasons. I don't know if it's being reported more or it's actually happening more, but there are a lot of children of all races being kidnapped and trafficked for their organs, for sex, all kinds of things. And I'm going to try to throw out a few things that you can do to make sure that your children are not caught up in that web. And you've got to be more, the bottom line is you got to be more diligent as a parent. So those are a few things that we're going to talk about today, among many others that we've got on the agenda. And don't forget, if you want to call me up, 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show. And before we do anything, you know what we've got to do? We've got to do Black Facts. When I tell you the story of Julia Roberts, you will understand why you need to be teaching your children history. Okay? So we'll get into that here in just a moment. But Taharqa was born in Nubia in 690 BCE as a member of the royal family of the kingdom of Cush. What have we talked about Cush on this show? There are two countries mentioned in the Bible more than any others. What are they? Egypt and Cush. This is why this is important. So listen. Let me read this again. Taharqa was born in Nubia in 690 BCE as a member of the royal family of the kingdom of Cush. He was the 5th ruler of the 25th dynasty of Kemet. Taharqa is regarded as the last pharaoh to unite the lands of Nubia and Kemet. For 26 years he ruled. His reign started in 668 BCE after the death of his brother Shabata. After becoming king, he spent a considerable amount of time rebuilding. Taharqa, as the second of the last king of the 25th dynasty, helped Kemet maintain its rich African culture. Taharqa built numerous temples in Cush, along with monuments at Karnak, Thebes, and Tanis. Taharqa fought off the Assyrians and promoted the beauty of the culture of his people. Kemet flourished under his reign. He is very important because of his ability to maintain the Kemetic way of life and was able to be passed on to his nephew. The 25th dynasty is the last of the African-ruled dynasties. In this picture, you can see the Temple of Amun-Ra built a resting place at the Baroque of Amun, or Amen. And that's our Black Fact. Well, we've got another one, by the way. There's a reason why I'm doing that. Because I've told you all over and over again that all of the religion that we deal with today, regardless of what it has morphed into, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, all of that stuff came out of Kemet. Every bit of it. And people have used various religions to subdue, to extract things from people or sets of people. The next story I'm going to read you is no different. This story is about Jim Crow. And this is just one of the stories of how Christianity has been used against black people. It's entitled Christian Soldiers. The lynching and torture of blacks in the Jim Crow South weren't just acts of racism. They were religious rituals. The cliche is that Americans have a short memory, but since Saturday, a number of us have been arguing medieval religious wars and whether they have any lessons for today's violence in the Middle East. For those still unaware, the debate comes as President Obama's comments at the annual prayer breakfast, where after condemning Islamic radical groups like ISIS as a death cult, he offered a moderating thought. Lest we get on our high horses and think this is unique to some other place, remember that During the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. In our home country, slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name of Christ. So, this is not unique to one group or one religion. There is a tendency in us, a sinful tendency, that can pervert and distort our faith. It's a straightforward point. No faith has a particular monopoly on religious arrogance. That's become a partisan flashpoint as conservatives harangue the president for equating crusading Christians to Islamic radicals, accuse him of anti-Christian beliefs, and wonder why he would mention a centuries-old conflict, even if it has analogies to present day. What we have missed in the argument over the Crusades, however, is Obama's mention of slavery and Jim Crow. At The Atlantic, Ta-Nehisi Coates puts his focus on religious justifications for American bondage and its worth, doing the same for its post-bellum successor. And since we're thinking in terms of religious violence, our eyes should turn toward the most brutal spectacle of Jim Crow's reign, the lynchings. For most of the century between the two reconstructions, the bulk of the white South condoned and sanctioned terrorist violence against black Americans. In a new report, the Alabama-based Equal Justice Initiative documents nearly 4,000 lynchings of black people in 12 southern states: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia between 1877 and 1950, which the group notes is at least 700 more lynchings in these states than was previously reported. For his victims, Judge Lynch, journalist Ida B. Wells, named for the lynch mob, was capricious, merciless, and barbaric. C.J. Miller, falsely accused of killing two teenage white sisters in western Kentucky, was dragged through the streets to a crude platform of old barrels, staved, and other kindling. His assailants hanged him from a telephone pole, and while the first fall broke his neck, the body was repeatedly raised and lowered while the crowd peppered it with small arms fire. For 2 hours, his corpse hung above the street, during which he was photographed and mutilated by onlookers. Finally, he was cut down and burned. More savage was the lynching of Mary Turner, and her unborn child, killed for protesting her husband's murder before a crowd that included women and children. Mary was stripped, hung upside down by her ankles, soaked in gasoline, and roasted to death. In the midst of this torment, a white man opened her swollen belly with a hunting knife, and her infant fell to the ground, gave a cry, and was then stomped to death. These lynchings weren't just vigilante punishments or, as the Equal Justice Initiative notes, celebratory acts of racial control and domination. They were rituals, and specifically, they were rituals of Southern evangelicalism and its then dogma of purity, literalism, and white supremacy. Christianity was the primary lens through which most Southerners conceptualized and made sense of suffering and death of any sort. It would be inconceivable that they could inflict pain and torment on the bodies of black men without imagining that violence as a religious act laden with Christian symbolism and significance. The God of the white South demanded purity embodied in the white woman. White Southerners would build the barrier with segregation, but when it was breached, lynching was the way they would mend the fence and affirm their freedom from their moral contamination represented by blacks and black men in particular. Although not limited to them, Leo Frank, lynched in 1915, was Jewish. The perceived breach was frequently sexual, defined by the myth of the black rapist, a demon and beast who set out to defile the Christian purity of the white womanhood. In his narrative of the lynching of Henry Smith, killed for an alleged rape and murder of 3-year-old Myrtle Vance, writer P.L. James recounted how the energy of an entire city and country was turned toward the apprehension of the demon who had devastated a home and polluted an innocent life. James wasn't alone. Many other defendants of lynching understood their acts as a Christian duty, consecrated as God's will against racial transgressions. After Smith's lynching, Woods notes, another defender wrote, "It was nothing but the vengeance of an outraged God meted out to him through the instrumentality of the people that caused the cremation." Religion permeated communal lynching because the act occurred with the context of a sacred order designed to sustain holiness. The sacred order was white supremacy, and the holiness was white virtue. I should emphasize that blacks of the era understood lynching as rooted in the Christian practice of white Southerners. It is exceedingly doubtful if lynching could possibly exist under any other religion than Christianity, wrote NAACP leader Walter Wright in 1929. No person is familiar with the Bible-beating, acrobatic, fanatical preachers of hellfire in the South and who has seen the orgies of emotion created by them can doubt for a moment that dangerous passions are released which contribute to emotional instability and play a part in lynching. And while some church leaders condemn the practice as contrary to the gospel of Christ, religion and lynching, Christianity and crushing, burning and blessing, savagery and national sanity cannot go together in this country, declared one 1904 editorial. The overwhelming consent of the white South confirmed White's views. The only Southern Christianity united in its opposition to lynching was that of black Americans, who tried to recontextualize the onslaught as a kind of crucifixion and its victims as martyrs, flipping the script and making blacks the true inheritors of Christian salvation and redemption. It's that last point which should highlight how none of this was intrinsic to Christianity. It was a question of power and the need of the powerful to sanctify their actions. Still, we can't deny that lynching, in all of its grotesque brutality, was an act of religious significance justified by the Christianity of the day. It was also political, an act of terror and social control, and the province of private citizens, public officials, and powerful lawmakers. Senator Bill Tillman of South Carolina defended lynching on the floor of the U.S. Senate, and President Woodrow Wilson applauded a film that celebrated Judge Lynch and his disciples. Which is all to say that President Obama was right. The vastly different environments of pre-civil rights America and the modern-day Middle East belies the substantive similarities between the fairly recent religious violence of our white supremacist forebears and that of contemporary enemies, and the present divide between modern Muslims and their fanatical opponents has an analog in our past divide between Northern Christianity and its Southern counterparts. This isn't relativism as much as it is clear-eyed view of our common vulnerabilities, of the truth that the seeds of violence and autocracy can sprout anywhere, and of the fact that our present position on the moral high ground is evidence of some intrinsic superiority. And that's our Black Facts for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people on JoyNetRadio.com.
And if you would like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, please, by all means, give me a call, 615-554-0568, and I'll hook you up. The bottom line in what they're saying there is somebody's been lying to you. And if you don't read your history, you don't teach your children their history, then you're going to be doomed to repeat it. And that's a fact, Jack. 855-525-5683 is the number. Tell you what, I need to take a quick break. We're going to go out and see if we can get our guest on. Candy Love, we're going to talk to her about a black bus tour that she's put together. We had mentioned something about that here in Little Rock, but didn't get any response. I'm curious to ask her a couple of questions. Are there black neighborhoods in Tampa that you can identify? Because there aren't any here. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoyNetRadio.com. Hey, Cannon, this is Dave Coleman from Black Focus. You ready for your interview? I'm fine. We're going to put you on the air in about 2 minutes. All right, hang on. We'll be right with you, okay? All right.
I'm in business. Come spend your money on quality goods in my store. Let us help you at JoyNetRadio.com. Here's the number. Call me, 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney who's primarily...
Hey, what's up, Scotty? How you doing? You might want to stay tuned and listen to this guest that we got coming on next. Her name is Candy Lowe.
I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
Who done it? The butler done it. Butler Furniture Depot.
Butler Furniture Depot is your back-to-school headquarters. All college students, fraternities, and sororities get a two-piece living room set for only $3.99, or take advantage of our 4-piece living room special, which includes sofa, love seat, chair, and ottoman for only $5.99. Quantities are limited.
Who done it? The butler done it. But the Furniture Depot.
Or what about an extra thick queen-size mattress, full or queen size, for only $2.98, or an Ashley signature 4-piece bedroom set for $4.99, or a 5-piece dinette set for only $1.99. Huge selections and savings are going on at Butler Furniture Depot, your back-to-school headquarters.
Call 562-8333 for directions. Who done it? The butler done it.
En Butler Furniture Depot hablamos español.
Who done it? The butler done it. Butler Furniture Depot.
Serving the families of Clark County and the surrounding area since 1966, it's Mitchell Funeral Home. Understanding that a funeral is a celebration of life, the entire staff of Mitchell Funeral Home takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial policies, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are a few of the services we offer. Mitchell Funeral Home, Arkadelphia, 870-246-2611. Mitchell Funeral Home. Quality you can appreciate, service you can depend on.
All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. Of course, if you want to call me up, 855-525-5683. If you want to weigh in on the show, Robert Webb just dropped in as well. We'll talk to him in just a moment. But on the line with us right now, we talk a lot about black business. We talk a lot about black empowerment and the importance of us supporting and shopping with one another. In fact, it is my thinking, and it's not just mine, it's not rocket science. Part of the reason that our community is not surviving or thriving, I should say, is because we simply don't support one another. And down through the years, we've seen, I remember a few years ago, it's been over, I guess a few years back, when the NAACP decided that they would boycott South Carolina, and they were actually putting together buses because of the flag in South Carolina, and they were going across state lines and taking tons and tons of black people to shop in other areas. That's, I guess, the beginning of black bus tours. So I happened to click on a story on Facebook about a black bus tour that took place in Tampa. And so this young lady reached out to me. Her name is Candy Lowe. I said, hey, she'd like to be on the show and talk about what they're doing. So I said, why not? Because this is something that we've tried to put together here in Little Rock, didn't get much response. So I wanted to let you all, the listeners, hear from a person who that's happening with in other parts of the country. So let's welcome to the show Miss Candy Lowe. Hey, Candy, how are you doing today?
Hey, Candy.
225. I guess. Oh, I was gonna say. I was gonna say that really confused me. I said I'm late calling you. Wow. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in Tampa. First of all, are there black neighborhoods in Tampa?
Of black neighborhoods in the Tampa Bay area.
Are there black business districts in the Tampa area?
We have a couple black district areas, black complexes in the Tampa Bay area that has been growing because of the support that we have been giving those businesses in the Tampa Bay area.
Were those areas already there, or is that growth a result of you all saying, hey, we're going to put this black business tour together? Start setting up your businesses.
The area has always been here in Tampa. Some of the neighborhoods that I grew up in, which are still here in the Tampa Bay area. We have just been able to grow some of those areas with small black-owned businesses. So we have had our share of gentrification, which one of our largest black business districts, which was destroyed years ago, and we have been able to come up with other areas to put complexes and have small businesses in our city.
So, so when you say we, who are we? I mean, because typically black people don't work together like that to improve our own lot.
Well, we have from our one of our city council persons, our community leaders here in the city of Tampa. We have a SAP group, THAP group, that has a venue where they have taken a storage unit, and it has 31 black-owned businesses in the storage unit. And we have other complexes throughout the city that has, it may not have as many as 31, but it has 5 businesses in that complex. And that's with the CDC of Tampa that has, I want to say it's 5 businesses in that. So we have several complexes in the city that has black-owned businesses, and that the Black Business Bus Tour goes out and tour on a regular basis.
So let's talk a little bit about that storage unit, because that kind of piqued my interest. So when I think of storage units, and of course I have some items that I've had for years in a storage unit right now. Are you saying it's like, is this an indoor unit and some black people purchased it and they open up the different units with each business? Is that what I'm understanding?
Exactly.
Great idea.
They have taken storage units that has been abandoned or not used, that was bought by black companies in the city. They take those units, clear those units out, put doors on them, put windows in them, and they are units that has all black businesses in it, period.
Wow, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, that they say necessity is the mother of invention, and that's a great idea. I noticed that you all's bus tour has been going on for 13 years. What was the impetus behind it?
Absolutely, 13 years as of June of 2019. We're going into our 14th year of the Black Business Bus Tour. I own a tea shop, TEA, in the city of Tampa for 10 years. And one of the things I could not get was enough businesses to come out and support the tea shop. So come up with this idea of how can I get those businesses, the customers, to come to my business. And there's lie in the Black Business Bus Tour. And that is taking the consumers out to black-owned businesses and returning back to my shop, which was in the Harbor Club here in the city, which was also black-owned, that had about 7 businesses under one roof. So we all benefited on that day of the Black Business Bus Tour. And also when we started the Black Business Bus Tour, it was every 3rd Saturday of the month for almost 3 years in the Tampa Bay area.
Wow, that's fantastic. So when you have these tours, is there a minimum amount of money that you require your patrons to spend, or how does that work?
Our goal was to have everyone to spend at least $5 at the store. And of course, once you go in there, they have a Black Business Bus Tour special area in the store. So when you go in there, everyone looks for that special, but they also purchase other things. Our Black Business Bus Tour usually pull up to each store for about 45 minutes. 50 people get off of the bus, go in, and patronize black-owned businesses. We have hit numbers, record numbers on our bus tours in 2019. People going in for 45 minutes, and we spend $1,700, $1,400, $1,200 in 45 minutes shopping with black-owned business, and we go to the next store.
Wow, that's fantastic. What was the? I mean, did you decide this on your own, or did? Tell us how did you get black people? And I'll be honest with you. Here in the city where we live, Little Rock, Arkansas, it's like herding cats to get black people to cooperate and spend with black businesses. And I understand all the implications of that. But what was your catch? What was your hook that got people in your city to say, hey, look, we need to do this?
started the Black Business Bus Tour, I would get some Black people to say to me, do not call it Black Business Bus Tour. Take Black out of it. And I would not do that. I continue to say Black Business Bus Tour. We started out with bus, 2 bus, 3 buses, all the way up to 5 to 6 Black motor coach buses going out to Black-owned businesses. And over the years, I think what has happened is that we've gotten people that don't look like us. It is amazing how that saying is that the other ice water is colder than ours. And we have been able to get other people on the buses as well. This past 2018, the mayor of Tampa, which is white, Mayor Bob Buckhorn, our former mayor, declared it Black Business Bus Tour in this city. And we have been moving forward from that point on. The catch has been consistency. That's the catch. Being consistent, saying we're going to support Black businesses, come out, let's support Black businesses. In the city of Tampa, anyone that runs for an election, a candidate, come out and be a part of the Black Business Bus Tour. You can't talk about that you're for economic empowerment and don't come and participate on the Black Business Bus Tour, where we are circulating our dollars in a mighty, mighty big way in the city of Tampa.
What are the results? What are you seeing as the results of this Black Business Bus Tour? Are there business that have grown? Tell us why this has been effective for the Tampa area.
We have. Let me go back to 2017. The business name is Ward Robe, WARD' Robe, ROBE. Our first bus tour to their shop was December 2017. And when we went there, we bought just about everything out of their store. The husband and wife get on the bus, tell us what a wonderful time they had with us coming there, and we made their Christmas, and they are able to pay their rent for the next 2 months out. We just got a report on our last Black Business Bus Tour, which was in September, that store is moving out of the small plaza that they're in and into one of the malls here in the Tampa Bay area, University Mall.
Wow, so certainly you guys are being effective. And, that's part of the reason that I wanted to get you on the air. When I saw what you were doing, that's why I shared it on my wall, is because we understand, at least most of us do, that if we're going to change our situation, then we've got to support Black businesses. And I'm sure you know all of the numbers, the $1.2 trillion, less than 2% of that is spent with Black businesses. If we just spent 10% more in Black businesses, we could create 1 million jobs. So I want to applaud you, Ms. Lowe, for doing what you're doing. And thank you for sharing with my audience today about your Black Business Tour. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
Yes, sir, because I'm so proud of my city, Tampa, for stepping up, and we're doing this thing here in the city. And that's just not African Americans. This is the whole city of Tampa. We have as many Black as white on the Black Business Bus Tour that also has been featured in USA Today. We've also been featured in Black Enterprise and a number of articles throughout the state of Florida. And we're excited about it. And we're excited about expanding the Black Business Bus Tour throughout the country. Thank you so much for having me on.
No doubt about it, and thank you for the great work that you're doing, and certainly, creating an impetus for Black people to see that, hey, yeah, we can support one another, and here are the results. Because that result that you just said is very important, because now that small business has moved to a bigger business who can serve more people and hopefully employ more Black children. That's the key to saving our community. And look, that's why I wanted you on the show, because I think it's important for people here in Little Rock to understand that if people can do it in Tampa, we sure as hell can do it here in Little Rock. We just have to have the will. Hey, thanks a lot. And hey, stay in touch now, okay? We sure will, and I'll be reaching out to you personally as we try to pull something like this together here in this city. All right, thank you.
That's what's up, man. I like that, man. I like that, D. Every now and then you kind of get me, man. You kind of shock me a little bit, bro. Like that, man. Give me a little down, dog. Don't leave me hanging. Oh, you go, oh, he gonna leave me.
Here, man.
That's all right, man. You know, every now and then you move me, man. You moved me today. That was cool.
Thank
I
you.
like that one.
Is that why you're crying?
I like that. That's why I'm tearing up, man.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's what's up.
That's the key.
That's what's up.
You know, and this is nothing new. They've been doing it for 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
But, I mean, we did it in Memphis. I lived in Memphis, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We did it in Memphis. Right? So this is nothing new. It's just a matter of we have to be able to identify those black businesses. See, here's what I'm thinking here, is that there's a corridor. In fact, there are two corridors here in Little Rock that ought to be right for black businesses. One is the Wright Avenue area from Martin Luther King all the way up to Battery. That's ripe for black businesses. Also, the 12th Street corridor. That's ripe for black businesses. You see what I'm saying? So we should have a community in this city where black businesses can go and thrive. Most cities that I've been to, they all have that. They all have it. I don't understand with Little Rock's rich history that we don't have a community where I know I can go and eat. I know I can go and buy clothes. I know I can go get my hair cut. All of those things that helps build a community, that helps supply jobs and provide jobs are essential if we're going to build out our community, because they're not going to do it. Every time they're building something in this city, it's Chenal. They don't care about, look, Walgreens on 12th Street just closed. Mm-hmm. It's just 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it seems to me that, okay, if businesses like the corporate businesses are not willing to go into those places, then we are, as small business owners, ought to be able to go into those places. I would love to be able to use that old Safeway. Now, I know I'm dating myself. That's illegal in 6 states. That's on 12th Street. It's not, what was the last thing it was? Not the one
by the city market, right?
It was City Market, but it used to be Safeway, believe it or not. Back in the day.
When it first, yeah.
So why can't we go and buy that building or rent that building and open up a flea market where black business owners can come in there every Saturday and sell their business, sell their wares? It makes all the sense in the world, you know.
Not really, because economically it just won't work out.
Well, I'm just... You're being practical. You're trying to be the wet blanket again.
I'm not trying to be the wet blanket.
I'm just simply saying.
I'm a capitalist. It ain't practical.
That building may not be practical.
Yeah, that building's not practical.
I understand that.
Economically, it won't.
But just as she just said, what did they do? They went into old storage units and made stores, and they got 31 black businesses in that storage unit.
I like that.
We've got to cool. See, that's being creative. We've got to think outside. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Dave.
So why are you hating, man?
That's not a hate. It's just I'm not disagreeing with you, brother. But I'm telling you, man, I just can't say nothing now. But just hold on, brother. It's getting better, baby.
It ain't getting better fast enough.
Well, you know what? You know, they say progress never happens swiftly. Progress always comes slowly. We're slowly working towards something. DB2 developers will make a pretty big announcement here shortly. So just hold tight, brother. Just hold tight, brother. It's coming. It's coming. Well, you got to extend that business corridor a little bit further, though. You got to take it all the way down to probably Fair Park.
Well, you know, I would love it to go all the way. Because look, when you think about Asher Avenue,
yeah.
Where the Y splits, after what is there?
It's not a lot there, man.
Well, there's nothing there. There's not. You could, as many cars, and you know the numbers, as many cars that travel up and down Asher every day.
25,000 car traffic count.
Every day.
Every day.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's amazing to me that is not some major thoroughfare for business owners.
Two things. We talked about this all the time, right? The first one is economically, the numbers don't mix. So if you look at where corporations go, especially like your Burger Kings, your Wendy's, your McDonald's, even your sit down restaurants, they go where the money is. Unfortunately, because of the median income in our area, our median income in 12 and census tracts 12, 13, 19, 16, it's below $40,000. We're not going to draw those kind of people. We're not going to draw corporate partners, right? So we're not going to draw the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the Wendy's. We're not going to draw them. So for a developer like me, it's hard to put somebody in the building because I can't get one national or one branded tenant, right? One branded tenant can pretty much cover your lease, cover your mortgage payment, right? But the problem is that because we don't have the income numbers, those companies are less likely to come to communities like ours right now. Let's just say that.
But if we create that corridor, they will. That old saying, "If you build it, they will come." The bottom line, whenever I've written multiple business plans, and when they talk about where your location is going to be, what is the number one thing that they look for?
They look for the traffic. The traffic count is huge.
Bingo.
The traffic count is huge. But aside from the traffic count, they have to have the income, because the income, pretty much they can set their numbers on how many Happy Meals they're gonna sell based on the incomes of those areas.
Right.
Now the argument I make is, well, in black communities, black folk eat just like white folk. Right?
Exactly.
We eat just like they do. But unfortunately, you won't bring your establishment to our community. So like I said, brother, just hold tight.
So we don't. But see, here's the thing. We don't need them to bring their establishments to our community.
Well, to some degree.
Let me finish my point. I know what you're gonna say, but what we do, because I'm thinking of Crenshaw in Los Angeles. Ain't no damn McDonald's down on Crenshaw.
Right.
All of those businesses are black owned. Right. I can go down and get Jamaican. I can go down and get Haitian. I can go down and get anything I want. They're black owned. Right. Okay. Now there's a mall in the area.
Right.
But in the Crenshaw district, those are black businesses. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So, and what began to happen after the riots, corporate starts saying, well, there are a lot of people there. Let's rethink this. And that's what they did. And that's what Magic Johnson did. He came in, rebuilt that area. Right. That's what we've got to see. What we've got to do is show them that even though the income may not meet the standard that they're used to, at least that they want.
Right.
As you just said, black people still eat.
Black people still eat, right?
Black people still buy shoes. You mean to tell me, like right now, if you put a movie theater on Ash Avenue, it wouldn't be packed?
I think it'd be successful.
You see what I'm saying? And say, I'm going to be honest with you, I'd love to be able to put a movie theater out there. You mean to tell, because if you think about it, there's nothing there.
Well, again, I say this all the time. Our community is just a big old pot of money.
Exactly.
And no one's want to tap into it. But we're going to tap into it. But the thing is that when we have conversations like this, you got to have a litmus test. And I think our company, we're going to take that on. We're going to be that litmus test. And so it's really hard not to have a national brand if you're going to be a litmus test. Because what we want to do is we want to create that space for small black-owned businesses. But to do that, we have to have a corporate partner. Because again, let's say we take in a company, I don't know, we just pull some company off the streets and say, we know you got a brand, we know you need a storefront. We want to work out something with you where we escalate your rent over a period of years, right? Well, to do that, we got to first be successful by bringing in a corporate partner to partner with, because again, he covers our mortgage payment, gives us the flexibility to do those things. You see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, and that's your business model.
Right.
But I think that we could start off with small. Look, if the city of Memphis, of Little Rock, decided that, hey, look, we're going to reinvest in the Asher corridor.
Yeah.
Okay? And what we're going to do, because right now all you got is beat up car shops and, broke down cars and everything out there. What you do is you give small interest loans and let people rebuild. There's a strip mall right there where what's the name of the food place, the black restaurant?
Oh, Kitchen Express.
There's a strip mall right there by Kitchen Express.
Right. Yeah.
There are at least 5 units there that's vacant.
Right.
Okay, right next to them you've got that club, and then you've got another building that used to be some type of grain place.
Right.
It's vacant now. So what the city should be doing is looking at areas where, because see right now, many of those buildings are vacant.
See, this is So I want to start this conversation out. I'm glad you brought this up. So, in order to have that growth, we're going to have to do some things that are going to be really uncomfortable. By that I mean, there are going to be some people who have to buy their homes. We're going to buy them out because if you look at what we have currently down Asher, it's not sustainable. So you couldn't go in now and put a business in.
No.
You don't have quality parking.
You've got to clean all of that
Right.
out.
You don't have adequate parking.
Right.
We'd have to go in and take some houses. We're not taking, but we have to go in and buy some houses from folks. And I think right now, like I said, we first have to have that first company come in and show us that it can be done.
But before you have that, you got to have a commitment from the city.
You don't technically you don't really need a commitment from. We have a commitment from the city, but I don't want people to think that you have to have a commitment from the city to redevelop our community because technically we don't, right? The thing is just putting together a plan that makes sense on paper, and then the bank will fund, and that's the most important thing, right? Putting together a plan on paper that a bank will fund. That's the most important thing.
Well, it's clear that it needs to be done. By the way, I am sporting my Colin Kaepernick shirt today. Scotty Green says MLK to Roosevelt and 630 is another stretch. I totally agree with you. From MLK on Roosevelt to 630, all the way down MLK to 630 is another stretch. I agree with you. You have nothing there. You've got the liquor store on Wright Avenue and High Street. Yeah, I said High Street.
Yeah, let me tell you this though. What I've learned is that if you're gonna identify a space to grow in, you have to pick one spot, and everybody comes together and says, okay, we're gonna come together. We're gonna focus here. And then let's say another group of folks come and say, hey, you know what, we don't want to be here. Then all right, cool, where y'all want to go? Because the thing is that we can't spread our resources.
I agree.
We won't have an impact. And while everybody,
but no, we're just identifying areas. Those are just areas.
My point is that Wright Avenue and Woodrow from Wright Avenue to the freeway is a great opportunity. And I really like people to take a look at that if they're thinking about doing something, if they're thinking about doing some development or whatever. Because right now we put a plan together, DB2 put a plan together a couple years ago, that we're going to redevelop Woodrow from the freeway all the way back to Wright Avenue because we felt that was the best spot to have a huge impact just because of the housing there. When I was the commissioner of the Housing Authority, we started at the freeway and we came up doing some redevelopment and it looks really great. But unfortunately, I wasn't there long enough to come across. So our company, we're going to bring it across 12th Street. And the thing is, this is not my neighborhood. I don't own all the neighborhood. People who want to do this, please feel free to come in and contribute something. Be it if you want to build whatever, come in and build that, and let's work together. Because this is not a thing that only I can do it, right? This is the thing that we can all do.
Well,
we all should be.
We all should be doing it because, again, as I say over and over again, I travel a lot, go to a lot of cities, and I'm gonna tell you, every city I go to has a black neighborhood. They got a black business district. It may not be that big, but they can tell you, well, go down to so and so. They got it's amazing. Little Rock doesn't have that.
It's not surprising though. It's not surprising.
It's just
it was something that she said that resonated with me when she said that people say you shouldn't call it the black bus business tour or the black business bus tour.
Mm-hmm.
That resonated with me because so often, and I've been really struggling to try to come up with a name for developments, because it's important to have a name for a development that makes sense and
Wakanda.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I like North Star better. But it's important to have a name that means something to the community, so people can say, "Yeah, that's mine," right?
Right.
So it has some kind of connection to the community. I've been throwing a lot of names around. It's just a lot of names in my head, man. So I'm just, at some point when we get close where we can make that big announcement, I will then ask you to, just throw them names out there, let people tell us what they like.
Am I getting a cut?
I'm gonna be biased.
Am I get a cut?
Of course.
Okay. I just want to make sure black man got to get paid. Just say it. But
seems like you're a capitalist too, dog.
Hey, I like to get paid now. But that's why we got to because I want. Look, I'm telling you, the key to solving this problem in Little Rock is capturing our capital.
I agree.
We have to do that in this city. Okay, if what you say is true about supporting our candidates, then the only way that we're gonna be able to do that is capture our money in our communities. We got to have a black business chamber of commerce. So I had a lady that reached out to me last night asking me questions about did we ever get any information on it. She wants to know. She has 2 daughters she's raising to be entrepreneurs. They want to even try to start something. Yeah. We've got to have someone who can go to the city, the state, and say, hey, here's our plan. Your company that you're talking about, they ought to be able to come to the Black Business Chamber of Commerce and say, hey, look, here's our plan. And the Black Business Chamber of Commerce ought to be able to say, okay, here's what we can do to support you. Right. You see, we talked about the loans that have been the mortgage company, the Black Mortgage Company in New Jersey last week that is offering loans to black businesses. Well, they're being sent through local black chambers of commerce. Right. People in Little Rock can't avail themselves of that because we don't have a local black chamber of commerce. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So we have a long way to go. And you know what? I can't do everything, but I'm going to tell you folks, if I don't hear something soon, I'm going to be totally honest with you. And I'm going to put it out here right now. And I'm hoping some of you all out there say, oh, no, you ain't. I'm going to do it. That's great. Need some competition. But if we don't get this resolved here real soon, I am going to try to start a Black Business Chamber of Commerce, a nonprofit. It's got to be done. I don't want to do that. I would love for someone else out there to do it. Yeah. But there are certain things that you have to have in your community if you want your communities to be successful.
So we got a couple comments, man. I like that.
Okay.
I've been saying this for years. Corner of Broadway and Roosevelt is a good area too.
It sure is.
If we start with just food trucks in the Y, the corporate vendors will be knocking on our door. And I thought that too. I thought that too about about having the food trucks. The only unfortunate thing about food trucks is they don't file anything with corporate entities, right? So corporations like Burger King, McDonald's, they have these filings they do. So we don't have that with food trucks. So even though nobody's down there monitoring on a Friday night when it's packed, everybody's down there buying, right? That's what's unfortunate for us because we don't have a system in place that we can regulate and say, you and I, Dave, we know that people are going to spend money. We know that already. Sills Barbecue is a great example of that. Kitchen Express is a great example of that. Lindsay's is a great example of that. But unfortunately, those companies aren't reporting the kind of numbers to the right people that say, hey, you know what, we're missing some over here in this area. That's all it is. I mean,
and then food trucks is a great idea, but we need businesses, brick and mortar, and we need brick and mortar.
But we need more than just food,
right?
And that's another thing too. I want us to understand. I don't want to open up a building where all I'm housing is a bunch of people who got restaurants. I mean, I'm dead in the water. I can't sustain that, right? Because restaurants only have a two-year lifespan.
Well, most restaurants can't sustain that.
They can't sustain it. They only have a 2-year lifespan. So it's hard to say let's throw a bunch of restaurants in there. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have black-owned tech companies? Be great to have your rib rub company. You have a manufacturing base.
Yeah.
You have a manufacturing plant here. I mean, things like that, man, would be huge. But again, that's forward thinking, that's forward vision. But we have to start somewhere. Like I said, the project we're putting together is the litmus test. And if we can sustain it over a period of 5 years, and we can show that the business model works, then from that, man, it's gravy.
Well, another area that I'd love to see revitalized is, I'm gonna be honest, 9th Street. I'd love to go down there and rebuild some of those buildings and revitalize that area. I mean, it would be perfect. The Mosaic Temple is right there on the corner. There's a lot of history there. All of that would be great. So there are a number of areas that we can target. Yeah. We're not specifying one area or the other because there are a number of areas that we can target, that we can identify. I'll tell you another area that's always neglected. What about the East Roosevelt area? There are a whole lot of people who still live in the Granite Mountain area. There are a lot of areas that we can, and there are no businesses in the Granite Mountain area except at Kroger's right there on East Roosevelt.
Well, they got some other stuff in that little strip.
Right, that little strip. But so the bottom line is this: what we're trying to do is get you all to start thinking outside. Don't even come up to me saying thinking outside the box. I don't agree with that. That is a stupid saying. Because when you think outside the box, you're still in the same damn box. I can lock you up in a cell, and if you spend 24 hours looking out the window, you're still in that damn cell. All right? We have to think outside. In other words, you got to change your old way of thinking and start thinking a new way, because that's the only way that we're going to solve this problem. So I want to thank Candy Lowe for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you for that inspiration. We'll reach out to you again, but we're going to keep this going because we got to save ourselves, folks, and we got the money to do so. I just think y'all scared.
Yeah, just take some like-minded folks, man. Just take some like-minded folks who can do what we do, bro. That's all it is.
All right, we're going to take the top of the hour break. We'll be back in a moment. Got a lot of other stuff I want to talk about as well. 855-525-5683 is the number. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoyNetRadio.com.
The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries@arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more of it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
LeBron James is the greatest player we've seen this generation. You have to be careful when you start saying, he went as good as Mike, but he went as good as Magic. Every generation you get that. You begin to sound like that old man that lives down the street, and every time you walk on his yard, and you even walk by his yard, he's on the porch, and he's got that little crooked finger. He's like, "Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn!" Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com. Get off my lawn!
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683. I don't want the show to go by without me bringing up this particular subject. So, you think your media isn't important? I'm going to give you a classic example why black media is very important. So, guess who they originally wanted to play Harriet Tubman in the new movie Harriet?
I don't know who.
Take a guess, just off the top of your head.
I don't know. Probably, what's Bruce Jenner's girl name?
The Kardashian girl?
No, Bruce Jenner. What's his girl name?
I don't know.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn.
Whatever it is. Yeah, Caitlyn.
No, well, she kind of looks like Caitlyn.
Who? It's a white woman?
It's a white woman.
I was being facetious. Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Who is it?
Julia Roberts. So apparently, the executive producer, when they first brought up this movie idea, it's been in the hopper for a long time. He came in and said that, hey, why don't we let Julia Roberts play Harriet Tubman? And I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say blackface, but and they had one black assistant. She was an assistant producer or something, and she said Julia Roberts can't play Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was black, and he says, "Oh, that was a long time ago. No one would ever know."
Well, I mean, they did it with Lone Ranger. Why not?
Oh, they did, but see. Then no one knew about Bass Reeves because you didn't have the knowledge. A lot of people didn't have the knowledge that you have today. But I mean, see, that's so ludicrous simply because if you didn't know anybody else as far as black history, you knew about Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
Okay? You knew about Black Moses. You knew about when they were singing "Go Down Moses, Way Down in Egypt Land." Yeah. That's about Harriet. That's a song about Harriet Tubman. That's an escape song.
Right.
So everybody knew about Harriet Tubman. But the arrogance of this white guy to say, basically, he was saying, "F them. Let's put a white actress in there."
Yeah, man. That's a tough one for me, man. Well, not really. I shouldn't say that. It's I'm not often surprised by these things, but. What's shocking to me though is how it's okay to make a real black woman white, but it's not okay to make a fictional white man black.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the outrage over James Bond, and I've never liked James Bond movies anyway. So
well, I
didn't
did.
Really,
Thunderball's my favorite.
I didn't really give a damn anyway.
Goldfinger.
Yeah, good for you, dog.
I'm a Judge
Shaft.
No, well, I'm a gadget person. So,
Judge Shaft.
Well, of course I like
Shaft.
but Shaft didn't have all them neat gadgets and stuff.
I don't care.
You know,
but you know what? You know what though? You know what though? You know one thing though.
Oh, John.
If I'm in a firefight, I want to have Judge Shaft at my back.
I don't know, cause 007 hit you with one bullet between the eyes. Pow!
Well, you notice he ain't never fight no black folk.
No, he didn't.
Totally different ball game.
By the way,
fight black folk.
I think the next Bond movie is actually going to have a woman who's going to be a 007 agent, and she's black.
Nah, bro.
And they're raising hell about it. To your point,
again,
they're raising hell.
Again, some things. I say this all the time. Sometimes some things are worth fighting. Mm-hmm. The Harriet Tubman thing, definitely a fight. Mm-hmm. The whole thing with James Bond, I could care less.
Well, I mean, but again,
my point is,
that's ignorance because James Bond is fiction.
No, but my point is, oftentimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We hear people say it's no big deal, right? But it's often no big deal when you're talking about black folks being portrayed by white folks. But hey, it's a really big deal When you're talking about black folks now portraying white folks, that becomes a really big deal. But again, I'm gonna take us back. I hate to take us back, but I'm gonna take us back.
Take me back.
It's all about value. Black folk, we have to start having more value for things that look like us and things that impact us and things that I know this is cliche to say, but things that are us. We have to be more vocal about those things, and I don't think we've done that, because had we done that, there's no way you could even start to have a conversation about making Harriet Tubman white.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and this just came out yesterday, and I was like, they can't be serious. And then you know, Facebook they don't give you any air. So Harriet Tubman was supposed to be the first black woman,
right,
on the $20 bill, right?
Right.
So they put Julia Roberts' picture on it. But this, I mean, if you think about it from this perspective, remember the brother who was at 9/11, who was one of the first to rush into the building. Mm-hmm. Now, I never saw 9/11, the 9/11 movie, and by purpose, I didn't watch it because it was a bunch of propaganda. I was not.
9/11 movie?
There was a movie called 9/11.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So they portrayed the original black hero
as a white dude. Yeah.
As a white dude in that movie.
No outrage though.
None whatsoever.
No outrage.
And, oh, by the way, and of course, y'all all know the Ten Commandments movie. It wasn't any. Well, there were a few black people in there.
Where?
When Moses came into the room and everybody, that woman that class, Moses. There were some black slaves around. They weren't, And by the way, I used to always mess with people. So the woman that Moses married,
right,
her name was Keturah. Mm-hmm. The Bible clearly says she's from Ethiopia.
But there's a white part of Ethiopia, but she's from the northern part.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got
the Bible clearly says that she's from Ethiopia.
She's from northern Ethiopia. She's white.
I used to have this lady friend back when I was in Memphis who worked with me. She was a co-worker, and she was a Bible thumper. And no offense to her, sweet lady, by the way. And I would ask her the question. I would say, how is it that Moses married a woman named Keturah from Ethiopia if Moses wasn't black? You get that, right?
Yeah.
Were they already practicing interracial marriage?
Yeah.
No, they weren't. That was the Old Testament. They weren't. Yeah. They all were black. That's the point.
That is very interesting.
And this is why I tell people, particularly that are Christians, do your research, please.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a conversation about the Bible.
No, that's not.
Some of my religious friends listen today, and I know they're gonna be texting me out the show.
No, I'm not. I'm just simply saying.
Love y'all, Jesus. Love y'all, Jesus.
Just do your research.
Yeah,
because there are things that are in the Bible that clearly tells you who those people were, who they are, where they came from. And that little simple thing.
That's denial, bro. That's flat out.
Woo, Lord have mercy. It's just, and that's why I read that piece in Black Facts. I don't know if you heard it, about Cush.
I did.
And about the 25th dynasty. Because that's where all of that came from.
I need you to remember when Mike Poor hit Tuesday, man, we need to ask him, when y'all gonna add Black history, real Black history to the law?
That's an interesting point because there are a lot of states who are now voting on it. As a matter of fact, North Carolina just voted it down that they would not teach Black history in schools.
They wouldn't?
They would not, which I have no idea where that came from. But see, here's the thing. Black history ought to be incorporated in regular history. Because Black history is American history. You cannot talk about America in any era without talking about Black history. You just cannot do it.
You cannot talk about American history, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You cannot. So instead of, like I tell people all the time, I don't celebrate Black History Month. I celebrate Black History Year.
Yeah.
365 days.
That's what's up.
You see what I'm saying?
And
that's how it ought to be done in the schools. That, hey, if I'm talking about the American Revolution.
Not just the schools, the churches, everywhere you
I agree.
You should see something about Black history.
I agree.
I mean, I think that's why it's important to have, hopefully we can work with AEA, and I'm putting this out there in the atmosphere. Hopefully it'll come back. But I'm putting it out there where we have a teacher, a Black Teacher Hall of Fame. That there's a place identified where you can go and learn about. See, I just went blank. That's what I get for trying to
Learn about
sneaky.
Black history.
Well, not just Black history.
American history.
Not just, but more so Arkansas history. Learn about Black folks because we got a lot of Black people who've done some great things in Little Rock.
All you gotta do is go down to the Black Hall of Fame.
They don't do that, man. Don't do that today, man. Don't do that today. Don't do that today.
What?
Man, you being really evil.
What?
Don't do that today.
What?
But I think hopefully we can partner with AEA and they can create a Black history.
A curriculum.
Well, no, a Black history spot for teachers. We'd love to house that building for them. We'd love to do that for AEA. They have a huge spot talking about all the teachers all over the state. And not just, I want to say Black teachers, but just teachers, period. Just come in and talk about all the successes, to have a true history of the integration. Because everybody talks about the Little Rock Nine like they were the only ones who integrated a high school in Arkansas, but actually Hoxie did it before the Little Rock Nine, just to have that history.
And there were more than 9.
And there were more than 9, right. And so just to have that history and just to have somewhere you can go centralized, where you can go and find out about your history, man, that would be beautiful, especially when it relates to schools. And I think AEA, hopefully we can partner with AEA and NEA to get that done. That would be beautiful.
There's some underlying message there. But
no, why would you think that?
Speaking of churches, did you hear about the 16-year-old girl terrorist?
Come on, man. You just trying to make me lose all my capitalism points, ain't you? I was doing very good. You see how good I've been doing? I ain't said nothing controversial. You just gonna make me say something. Go ahead, Dave.
Did you hear about it?
Go ahead, Dave. I'm gonna listen to you, Dave.
Did you hear about it?
I'm listening to you.
I'm
Dave.
asking you a question.
Yes, I've heard.
You heard about it?
Yes.
She just wasn't a 16-year-old girl terrorist. She was a 16-year-old white girl terrorist.
Yes, Dave, she was.
And you know what she was going to do?
No, Dave.
You don't? Would you like for me to tell you?
Yes, Dave.
Well, she was about to go into Bethel AME Church in Atlanta, and she was going to do a Dylan Roof. And I was listening to a press conference this morning by one of the ministers of that church, and it just so happens that last Wednesday they did not have Bible service study. And she had planned to come in there and pray with them and then shoot them up.
Man.
And the only way that they stopped it was that apparently one of her friends or something saw her backpack, saw her notebook, and turned her in. Otherwise, we would have had another tragedy. Now, the question that I have for you people that I know y'all probably already done prayed for and forgave her. She was just 16. She didn't know no better. She was misguided. She was depressed. She couldn't get the shoes that she wanted because all the little black kids were wearing those shoes. She was mad because she couldn't wear cornrows because she didn't have anybody in her family to braid them. She was mad because she couldn't stay on beat and couldn't dance. She was mad because she lost out on her cheerleading spot to a little black girl who was much better than she was. But that's okay. I'm obviously being facetious.
Yeah, y'all all been facetious. Ryan talking about she was gonna eat church's chicken afterwards. Y'all, both of y'all.
Hey!
Both of y'all, man. Y'all.
Hey! You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, man.
Y'all one today, bro.
I'm just saying. I mean, we can't simply just ignore these because now we're seeing more and more young white kids who would rather resort to violence as opposed to stand alongside black people for positive change. And the question you have to ask is, where are they getting that from? Because the minister, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't remember his name, but the point that he made I thought was very succinct. And that was, this young lady was 16 years old. What are her parents teaching her?
I've heard that a couple of times, man, and I'm going to say this to that. I haven't always agreed with that statement, and this is why. Because I know that my folks never taught me and never taught me anything negative about white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They never. I don't ever remember anybody in my family saying white people are devils, right? I don't remember anybody saying anything negative about white people, right? But the older I got,
but black people typically don't do that.
The older I got and the more experiences I had with certain people,
you realize that they were devils?
No, I'm not saying that, Dave. I realize that just like in any other race, there's some good people and there's some bad people, right? Now,
is this the capitalistic Robert talking or the advocate Robert talking?
There's no more advocates, sir.
Or the activist Robert
There's no
talking?
more activists, sir.
Okay.
But what I realized, man, is that you form these opinions about people based on experience. So if you're going to a school and you're being picked on by black folk, right? Then it makes sense that they would.
So are you blaming black folks for this young lady?
No. My point is
well, why did you say picked on by black folks?
I'm making a point that.
I believe you're blaming black folks for that.
So now you're trying to say I'm blaming black folks.
Are you going Stephen A. Smith on us today? Is that what you're doing?
See, that right there, I'll make us have to turn this radio off and make some furniture move up in here. Never, ever would anybody ever reference me as Stephen A.
I'm just saying.
Ever.
I'm just asking. You know, he's a capitalist now too. Got that brand new big paycheck he's got from ESPN. But I understand your point though. But
I think a lot of that, man. I think a lot of that is based on experience. And then too, it's based on experience, and you also have some people, man, who really want to be black folk, right? They really want to be black.
So we'll just go shoot up a black church.
Well, I mean, they want to be black, but they can't. Then they hate everything. They hate everything about black. I've met people like that. I say he's my friend. At least I thought he was my friend until I learned he wasn't. But he wanted to be black, and it was like, you know how every now and then there's those moments that you know in that moment that you're not black. And I'm sure it
kind of like Eminem.
I don't know. I don't know. See, you just taking shots at everybody today. But yeah, I think there are moments, man, where people, white people think, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm black. You know, I'm really surprised that no white person has yet to go and say, you know what? I'm coming to the LGBTQFIQE 6, 7, 8 community because I'm really black. On the inside, I'm really black, but on the outside, I'm white. I'm surprised it hadn't happened yet. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm surprised that in the white guy.
Wait. I got a story for you on that. You remember Rachel Dolezal, right?
Yeah.
She said, and I read this yesterday, that she believes that regardless of what color you ought to be able to identify as black. So there you go.
Continue to devalue us, right? If I want to be black, I should be able to be black. Yeah, no, you can't do it, dog. Now the thing is,
you used to like Rachel.
I still like her, man. I still like her. We try to get on. Do we get on the show? We try to get on the show.
Yeah, we tried to get on the show. We got on the show once, and then we tried to get on again, and it got all convoluted and stuff. So I just forgot about it. I just have a number.
I think that's when everybody was trying to go at her, and we didn't really go at it. We just wanted to ask, what's up, really. But I think the thing, man, everybody wants to be black because I mean, black people are some really cool people, man. We are cool, man.
Yeah,
we do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I know.
We just about coolness. We just represent all greatness. I mean, think about it. I mean, black women. I'm gonna tell you the thing to me in the '80s that said being black is cool as hell. You ready? Your girl Bo Derek, who everybody in America is saying is the most beautiful thing in America, she come up out the water with what, Dave?
Cornrows.
Dave! That's when I was like, boy, we too strong.
And then you remember, one of the white magazines wrote that she a new hair creation by Bo Derek.
Yeah! Yeah, just took it over, Dave.
And I was getting my hair braided from the time I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, I never got cornrows, but my sisters all wore cornrows. Right?
Well, you probably didn't have.
And when they didn't call them cornrows when we got them, they call them plaits.
They call them braids.
Braids and plaits. Well, they call them plaits.
Plaits were the little
they call them plaits too.
No,
that's what we call
braids.
them. But like I said, you're part of the black aristocrat. You're part of Black.
I'm sorry because I had more hair than you
got
did.
tags and insurance, and your taxes is paid. I just got tags, no insurance, and my taxes ain't paid. Then we got the black folk with the paper tags, Dave. You was part of the Black Aristocrat. You got tags, insurance, and your taxes paid.
Hey, I can't have.
You probably got half a tank of gas too, don't you?
I do right now.
Player. See, you big time, dog.
Hey,
big time.
I went out on Chanel and I got that $2.11 gas out there, man. I ain't playing with y'all.
You big time.
You know, so
$2.11 gas. We get $2.11 gas.
Right there on Chanel and Markham.
Really?
Yeah, they're both of them. You got a Shell station, and then I wanted some other station across the street. They competing with one another, so that's always the cheapest gas in town.
Hey man, long as gas is below $2.24 a gallon, I'm buying premium. When they get up past that, I gotta break back down to regular because I can't afford it, dog.
Yeah, I understand.
This truck be drinking gas like water, man.
But I just found that was interesting, and if you get a chance, go out and look at the press conference that they released this morning about this particular issue. And I'm just saying, y'all need to start talking to y'all kids, man, because y'all still living in this post-racial society that never existed.
Well, I want to say,
they'd rather kill you than go to school with you.
Yeah. I want to say something to my black sisters.
They'd rather kill you than go to church with you.
Yeah, I want to say something to my black sisters.
They'd rather hang you than to go to school with you.
Hey, y'all, I need y'all to think for a minute that the next time you get a black president, ask him, will he nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court?
Why it's got to be a black woman, a black man?
No, we already got a black
No,
man
we
already
don't.
represented. Okay.
No, we don't.
I give you that as far as his political views. I'll give you that, but we don't have black representation from the female perspective on the Supreme Court.
We don't have black representation. Period.
I thought we would have got that under Clinton or Obama, the two black presidents we've had.
You talking about the president who killed Gaddafi for no reason?
Right, he killed it for a reason.
For white reasons, yeah.
Yeah, man, you gotta maintain status quo.
You talking about the president who chastised black fathers, yet did put together no programs to benefit black fathers? Don't get me. See,
which one you talking about? Both of them or one of them?
You got me talking.
Now, let me tell you this, man. There are some things that I will. There are not many things I can give Clinton, but there are.
I ain't talking about Clinton. I'm talking about your boy Obama.
There are a couple of things I can give Obama.
I can't give Clinton nothing either.
I don't give him. I can't give Clinton anything, but I give Obama a couple of passes, and the reason I do is there are a couple of things he put in place that I am supportive of, and that I have to give him credit for. Can't knock him for him. NSP 1 and 2, those things were phenomenal. They really helped improve the black community. I can say because of Obama, I've seen a change in my community by way of vacant lots and boarded up houses. I can say that's thanks to Obama with NSP 1 and NSP 2. Also, the Father's Initiative, I also like that one. That's something, Dave, you should be plugged into without a doubt. But the Father's Initiative was big, and I think that is going to have an impact if we can get more information out to people, letting them know that it's there. Because the thing that often happens is that great things are put out there, but we never get access to them because we never get the information.
The Father's Initiative was way already started before Obama even got
Obama. No, I'm sorry. You are correct. My Brother's Keeper. Is it My Brother's Keeper?
Right.
My Brother's Keeper. My bad. My Brother's Keeper. I keep wanting to give him the Father's Initiative, but My Brother's Keeper, man. Thank you for keeping me on point. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things, man, Obama did that I'm really supportive of, and for those two things alone, man, I'm willing to give that brother a pass.
By the way, Prince Andrew to step back from public duties over Jeffrey Epstein relationship.
Why?
Because Prince Andrew's, there are pictures of him with little girls that were supplied by Mr. Epstein.
He was probably doing a fundraiser. Were they raising money for a shelter?
See, I could be big. I'm just not gonna take that bait. I'm not gonna take
what? That's not bait.
Take that base.
That was legit. That was a legit question.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't answer that question.
So they weren't doing.
I don't know.
What's up, Dave?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I know I'm learned and I know a lot of stuff, but some questions I just don't have answers.
Prince Andrew does not own half the radio station, Dave. We would be okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I don't want MI6 to show up and kidnap me. Anyway, Justice Smollett is suing Chicago for malicious I was gonna say prostitution.
Hey man, go sit down somewhere, dude. Go sit down.
I'm telling you, dude. Come on.
Sit down. Jesus, sit down somewhere, man. Is he serious?
Yeah, apparently so. I
Man,
guess so.
sit down somewhere, dude. You killing me.
Oh, by the way, I asked the question, what are your teachers thinking about their students, particularly black students? Well, apparently some black students in Alabama stumbled upon a private chat line with some students from teachers, and boy, did they get an eyeful. Okay. In part of the chat, teachers allegedly called former Ashford High School student Priyan Snell the N-word.
No,
Okay.
not teachers.
They said, that nigga so slow, he can't walk and chew gum. Okay. Priyan told the news agency, although he knows the teacher who used the slur and didn't think she used the language like that, he has a bad experience at school before due to race. I don't like this school, period. A student interviewed saw the chat, took video of it, and sent it to several people. She was like, she didn't mean anything, and she said, or anything like that. So
It's kind of like your girl at East End, right?
Yeah.
They're like, what was her nigga post? She posted something.
She's back on the job, by the way. In fact, the people at East End said that someone hacked her account, and they posted what did they say? It was proven that she didn't put it on there.
How did they prove it? They didn't provide any evidence.
They sure didn't. And by the way, I think someone FOI'd
Russ
them
did, yeah.
to try to get the information on how you prove that this person wasn't the person who did that. They haven't responded to the FOI, which is pretty interesting because they are a public entity.
Well,
Okay.
charter school got a set of different rules, man.
They don't. If you're taking,
No. I know what you're saying, but they try to operate.
They
operate
try
under
to
a different
operate
umbrella.
exactly.
And the thing is that Johnny Key is their protector. So to some degree, man, it's kind of hard. I mean, I think this is one Russ is gonna have to take them to court.
And I hope he does. And we'll get to talk to the superintendent next week and see what he has to say about that as well. So get your little questions together, okay? 855-525-5683 is the number. There was one other thing I wanted to cover. The obvious thing that we haven't talked much about, and I mentioned it in a tease, black girls continue to disappear, but few eyebrows are raised. Okay? So the question I have is this.
What's that?
Let me just read a couple of graphs from this story here. The epidemic of missing, mostly forgotten African American girls continues to spread throughout the United States. While the names change, the stories remain similar. Mia Godine, just 16 years old, was headed to school on Tuesday, April 23rd, when attendance was taken at the Carolina Forest High School. Mia was marked absent. What's worse, she never returned home. While authorities have speculated that because Mia is new to the area, she may have tried to return to her relative in New Jersey. However, that's no consolation to her family, who haven't heard a clue of her whereabouts. When last seen, Mia was wearing blue jeans, a black shirt and black and yellow shirt, black Pumas, and a clear fanny pack, certainly not the sign of a runaway. Horry police have asked those with information to call. 1 week earlier in D.C., 15-year-old Anaya Flight. She hasn't been seen either. Now, I won't read this because they go through a number of lists of names of young black girls who are coming up missing. The question is, why is this all of a sudden happening? Now,
Why are we hearing about it now?
well, the question is, are we hearing about it more because of social media, or is there an epidemic? Now, let me be clear. It's already been, because I think I read a story about a month ago that said that 64,000 black women are missing in America right now.
64,000.
64,000. That's a hell of a lot.
That's significant.
Okay.
Versus how many white women?
I don't remember the details of that, but I just remember that story. And the question is, because you think about it from this perspective, How many times have we heard of white girls being missing and the nation goes on full alert?
Yeah.
You hear it all the time.
Well, yeah, of course. Because
Okay.
people who are in positions of power see those children as being their children. They don't see our black children as being their children. So we don't get the same response.
So should we as a black community start raising the awareness of this more? Because this is critical. The other thing is that I think parents have got to start paying attention to what's going on. You can no longer send your children outside and let them play by themselves. You got to start giving them survival tactics. Just like you have a fire, you should have a fire drill at your home. So if a fire happens and your family gets separated, there is a meeting place where everybody needs to meet. You ought to have that in your house. We do. Okay. Now, fortunately, there are not any kids in my house, but when I did have kids, we had a particular way you got out and where we met up. We ought to have that. The other thing should be is that if somehow or another you get separated, somehow or another someone takes you, because I saw a startling video last night where this lady was walking, she happened to be white, by the way. She was walking down the street and this guy pulls up beside her in a car. He jumps out of the car with the intent of grabbing her and throwing her in the car. He was not successful because she had a pistol and she shot and killed him. Okay. Now, certainly we don't have teenagers that are going to be packing guns like that, young girls. But what we've got to start doing is making sure that your daughters are going in packs. Okay. We need to make sure that your daughters are going in packs. And this is old school, by the way. Back when we were out here in Little Rock partying, me and my boy, we would go party. It was me, him, and 14 other women. Okay? And if we went somewhere together, we left together. Okay? If you don't have that kind of pact with your girlfriend, because I know women do that now. If y'all go somewhere together, you go home together. If you might meet that fly jock out there and you might want to go home and have that one night stand. But your friends should be saying, no, we came together, we're leaving together. And then if you want to go and meet him once we get you home, that's another story. Okay? But we've got to start creating survival techniques. I saw an interesting thing from, and this was from China. This is how they teach if they're grabbed by a would-be kidnapper, what they teach their children to do is struggle down to the legs of that kidnapper. Wrap your arms around one leg and wrap your legs around the other leg and scream to high heaven. Because that kidnapper ain't going anywhere with your arms wrapped around his legs and your legs are wrapped around his other legs. We got to start teaching our kids that. But more importantly, you can't be sending your kids outside to play now. You just can't do it because apparently this is big business now for whatever reasons. Now, I don't want to cast aspersions on any ethnic group, but it just seems to me, we know there is a certain ethnic group that in their home countries, they still allow slavery. In their home countries, they still allow rape of children. Mm-hmm. In their home countries, they still allow marrying little girls. Okay? That's a lot of Arab countries out there. Okay? So the question that I have is, are we paying enough attention to Arab communities? I don't know if that's okay. And I'm not trying to cast any aspersions, but I'm just saying right now, there are too many black women coming up missing. Too many. Now you can say, well, it's because it's being reported more. I believe that's part of it.
Well, because of the internet.
And I believe that's part of it as well. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of why we're hearing about it, the fact is that they are coming up missing. You understand what I'm saying? And we got to start paying better attention to this. It's no longer sending your little girl. I was watching Bernie Mac, and I told you I've been on this Bernie Mac binge for the last week or so. And Vanessa snuck out of the house and went to a party. B-Mac went off on her, and he should have. He has that little America. Y'all think I was wrong? No, he wasn't wrong, because in today's society, those little sneak outs. How many times you sneak out of your window when you were a kid, Robert? Well, let's just say there were times where I was told not to go somewhere and I ended up there. Now, fortunately, I never got caught, and fortunately, nothing bad ever happened. But in this day and time, that's not a good idea anymore. It just really isn't, because there are so many people out there. You know, I was reading a story about this black woman in, I want to say, Detroit, and she was going through arraignment. She had been arrested for human trafficking. And all that is stealing young kids, young girls and young boys, and selling them to the highest bidder. Okay? And the judge asked her, why did you do that? You know what she said?
What's that?
It was easy money.
You know, that's crazy. But I'm looking at this, man, and so you said 64,000.
Yes.
So this is giving us a number of, from 2018, you had 362,988 whites that were abducted. This is not gender. This is not broken down by gender, just race. And then you had 207,394 blacks, and you had 19,556 unknown. Asian, you had 12,994. And Indian, you had 9,914.
That's in America.
It's in America.
Okay.
Well, let me make sure I clarify. So this is the number of NCIC missing persons filed in the United States in 2018 by race. I'm gonna file one by race and gender, man, because now you really got me thinking. Now I'm really thinking. This really has me thinking, because it's just really got me thinking.
What's it got you thinking about?
I'm not going there with you, Dave. I know what you're trying to do.
What? I'm just saying, man, it's a serious issue. And, you know, I feel bad because we haven't talked about it enough on this show. In fact, I don't think we've ever broached the subject on this show. And we've got to start talking about it more, because this should not be happening. It just simply should not be happening. You know, I know people run away, but I mean, it seems like every day on my wall now, some little black girl is missing. Some little black girl didn't come home, you know, and what police simply do, if it's a black kid, oh, well, they ran away, just like they did this girl, the story I read earlier. They just assumed that she ran away because she didn't want to live in that city. Well, wait a minute. If she ran away and moved back home, don't you think some relatives would be calling her mama saying, hey, Maya is here in New Jersey?
Did you ever hear of such a thing called missing white woman syndrome?
No.
Me either.
What is it?
It's a missing white woman syndrome is a phenomenon noted by social scientists and media commentators of the extensive media coverage, especially in television, of missing person cases involving young, white, upper middle class women or girls. The phenomenon is defined as the Western media's undue focus on upper middle class white women who disappear, with the disproportionate degree of coverage they receive being compared to cases of missing women of color, women of lower social class, and missing men or boys. Although the term was coined to describe disproportionate coverage of missing person cases, it is sometimes used to describe similar disparities in news coverage of other violent crimes. Instances have been cited in the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom, and South Africa. PBS News anchor Gwen Ifill is said to be the originator of the phrase. God rest her soul.
Mm-hmm.
Charles,
great journalist, by the way.
Charles Mack, I can't even say the last name, I might even try. Well, McWayne defines the syndrome as white women perpetually occupying a privileged role as violent crime victims in news media reporting, and concludes that missing white women syndrome functions as a type of racial hierarchy in the culture of imagery of the West. Eduardo Benitez Silva categorizes the racial component of missing white women syndrome as a form of racial grammar, though which white supremacy is normalized by implicit or even invisible standards. Missing white women syndrome has led to a number of right-wing tough-on-crime measures that were named for white women who disappeared and were subsequently found harmed. In addition to race and class, factors such as supposed attractiveness, body size, and youthfulness function as an unfair criteria in the determination of newsworthiness and coverage of missing women. News coverage of missing black women, was more likely to focus on the victim's problems, such as an abusive boyfriend or a troubled past,
where she came from,
while coverage of white women tends to focus on their role as mothers or daughters.
So that 64,000 number that I gave you is from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. By the way, that's a white organization. Okay?
I like this, man. Okay, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna try to get something more recent that we all can remember.
So this article that I'm looking at, this was released. I knew I had seen this March 18th, 2019. 64,000 black girls and women are missing in America, and nobody talks about it. No one seems to care about it. And the reason this is hitting home to me is that I'm tired of seeing these pictures. I'm tired of seeing these stories of missing black girls. Now, I will tell you this. Some of you all who have your girlfriends or boyfriends babysitting your children, you need to stop that right now.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Give me a minute, Dave. I need this one. You ready? With regards to missing children, statistically, research which compares normal media reports with FBI data shows that there is marked underrepresentation of African American children in media reports relative to non-African American children. A subsequent study found that girls from minority groups were the most underrepresented in these missing children news reports by a very large margin. Zach Summers, a sociologist at Northwestern University, noted that while there is a sizable body of research that shows that white people are more likely than people of color to appear in news coverage as victims of violent crime, there is relatively little when it comes to missing person cases. In 2013, Summers cross-referenced the missing persons coverage of 4 national and local media outlets against the FBI's missing persons database. Simmons found black people receive disproportionately less coverage than whites, and men receive disproportionately less coverage than women. Summons could not directly assess the number of missing white women in the FBI files due to how the data was structured, but concluded there was circumstantially, although not statistically conclusive, evidence that white women receive disproportionate coverage. In the same study, Professor Eduardo Benelli Silva illuminated that the subtle standard of placing a premium on white life in the news helps to maintain and reinforce racial hierarchy. With whites at the top, for example, black women are members of both a marginalized racial group and a marginalized gender group. Critically thought, black women have an intersectional experience that is greater than the sum of racism and sexism. In other words, like white women, black women are subject to sexism, but the form of that sexism differs for black women because of the compounding effects of racial discrimination. With missing white women syndrome being a pertinent manifestation of this social phenomena, psychologists note that the tone of media coverage for black female victims differs markedly from coverage of white female victims, in that the former are more likely to be blamed, purportedly putting themselves in harm's way. Either knowingly or unknowingly, victim blaming in this context reinforces the notion that black female victims are not only less innocent, but also less worthy of rescue relative to white women. Other observers note that the lack of publicity given to black female victims of police brutality in news coverage, attributing the silence to a tradition of sexism and patriarchy in American society. A report that aired on CNN noted the differences between the level of media coverage given to Caucasian women like Lacey Peterson and Natalie Holloway, who disappeared in 2002 and 2005, respectively, and Latoya Figueroa, a pregnant black Hispanic woman. Figueroa disappeared in Philadelphia the same year Holloway disappeared. Figueroa and her unborn daughter were found murdered. The San Francisco Chronicle published an article detailing the disparity between the coverage of the Peterson case and that of the Evelyn Hernandez, a Hispanic woman who was 9 months pregnant when she disappeared in 2002. Kim Pascal, president of the National Center for Missing Adults, observed that media outlets tend to focus on damsels in distress, typically affluent white women and teenagers. In 2016, Esquire article about the disappearance of Tiffany Witten, journalist Tom Janad observed that white women of lower social status, such as Witten, a 26-year-old unemployed drug addict who was on parole, do not get much attention as media outlets are ruthlessly selective. And they tend to prefer women who are white, pretty, and above all, innocent. Witten's mother stated that the producers of shows like Nancy Grace told her they weren't interested in her daughter's case. Oh, Lord Jesus. Dr. Corey L. Armstrong wrote in the Washington Post, the pattern of choosing only young, white, middle-class women for the full damsel treatment says a lot about a nation that likes to believe it is consigned race and class to irrelevant. Boy, that was a mouthful.
Yeah. So what that says to me is even more so why we need black media. And, you know, the reason I'm talking about this today, because I apologize. I apologize for this show because we ought to talk about this more often. And we are from this point forward. Because if we in the black community don't raise our voices to the missing and exploited in our community, who's going to do it? Robert just read very great article about that fact, is that they're not going to do it. They're simply not going to do it. We have to do it ourselves. And that's why we need black media. We need black radio. We need black television stations. And fortunately, a lot of them are beginning to come online here.
And we never did go back. We need to go back at some point. I hate to interrupt you, but I want to make this point before I forget. We need to go back and see what's up with our boy Byron Allen.
The case has been tabled for now. Okay?
That's a win, baby. That's a win.
So I'll be getting some updates because I'm actually reaching out to some people to see if we can get him on the air.
Okay, cool.
So to try to follow up with this. But it is important for us to understand that we got to start talking about this. We got to start talking about our, don't fall for the okie doke that your daughter ran away because you wouldn't let her do her hair the way she wanted to. Don't fall for that. You have to keep pressing the flesh with these police departments because they don't look. These police departments don't care about your black children. We know that already. Okay, so you got to if you got to go to the media.
We got a black police chief. I know he care about black kids. He
got
black daughters. He got black. He got a black mama.
Well, we hope so. So, and we are seeing more and more black police chiefs who are changing the cultures in various police
and we
departments.
Need to bring the chief back on, man. You know what? We need to bring the fire chief on. We got a black fire chief.
Well, when you were in your advocacy mode, you knew all those people. So why don't you set that up?
You throwing a lot of shade today, Black. What's up with you?
I'm just saying.
You throwing so much shade today?
I'm just saying.
You throwing tons of shade, man.
You
doing tons of shade.
I'm just trying to make sure that you're not
bro.
an advocate, anymore.
You throwing tons of shade.
Why don't you go ahead and set that up for us, man?
Why you throwing so much shade today, dog?
I'm just saying.
Seriously, why you throwing shade on me like that today? When you was an advocate, you throwing a ton of shade today, Black.
Because that piece you just read sure had an advocacy tint to it. But
nah, man, you know how we are. We just want to educate our folk, man. That's all that was about, player.
But hopefully we will start talking more about this because it is important that we start letting people know that this is a serious, serious business. I don't care if it is being reported more because of social media. 64,000 missing black women and children and girls. That doesn't even include the boys. You get that, right? Because they're taking the boys too. We got to do a better job in protecting our community. When your child is outside playing, excuse me, you need to be out there with them. And if you're not out there with them, you need to give him or her some survival techniques on what they can do if in fact they're grabbed by a stranger. Because number one, these people, they try to grab you and run. I saw a picture the other day. If you see a van that has locks on the outside of the doors, like on the back door and the front and the side panel door, why don't you just take those license plates down? It may mean nothing, but it could be that someone is locked away inside. I'm seeing story after story of U-Hauls being pulled over that has children in it, from state to state to state. This is a serious, serious problem, and the only way that we can solve this problem is that we've got to catch these no good pieces of crap. I mean, that's just the bottom line on it. I couldn't imagine. I remember my son and I were in a store one day. I was buying some clothes, and he had hidden himself under those round racks. When you were a little kid, you'd walk in the middle of them, kind of hide. And I looked around, and he wasn't where I thought he should have been, and I almost lost it because I thought he had been taken. And then he pops out and says, "Dad!" And I was angry at him.
You snatched him up?
I snatched him up.
That's because you're a black aristocrat. That's because you got hard tags, insurance, and your taxes paid with a tank of gas. If my kid had done that, you know what I would have did?
You'd probably be buying a tombstone.
You know what I would have did?
What?
I would have waited. You know why? Somebody grabbed my son, they bringing him back. They bring him back. My dad let me get this. My dad let me get that. Can you? Wait, can you? Look, hey. Be like, hey, go back to wherever your dad is. Go back.
I wish it would be that simple. Unfortunately, it isn't. But I'm just saying we've just so here's another one. This just came up on my wall. Clee Hall unsolved. Clee Hall missing for 25 years, unsolved. This just came up on my wall.
Ron said kidnapping corner stores. Arab people, Chinese people are involved. Black folks in hood love these corner store folks. Saw that in Oklahoma last night, U-Haul.
But see, earlier when I talked about this, that's what I was broaching, is the fact that we know that Arabs still support slavery of black people.
Yeah.
It's not too far-fetched. And I've said this on the show before. I would start, if there's a rash of kidnapping of black people in your neighborhoods.
I believe they kidnap us for a number of reasons, not just because of slavery. I think they kidnap us to harvest our body parts.
Oh, of course they do.
I think they do a lot of things, man, to us. Because, you got to think about it. It's not like anybody's going to go looking for you.
Right.
If you're black, unless, of course, you come from a family that has
means,
has good tags,
right?
Have the insurance and the taxes are paid. Would have had to gas like that. So when you have families like that, man, they're gonna look for you. They're gonna make a little stink. But that disappoints me, man. It really troubles me.
It really does, and we just have to pay more attention to it. And look, if you're sending your child to some of these little neighborhood stores, you need to make sure.
Stop doing it.
You need to stop doing it. Number one. I would agree with you. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that today. It was very important and again, I apologize that we haven't raised our voices to this earlier, and we will continue to talk about this because we need to start protecting our women, and whoever's stealing our women and our children, we need to be aware of that, and we need to make sure that when we find out that they suffer dire consequences.
And I'd like to make a quick comment in support of the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery. To all the people who buy lottery tickets, they don't ask you what your kid's GPA is before you buy a ticket. They don't ask you the score of your kid's ACT before you buy a ticket. I would like you to join me in boycotting them, because if they're gonna do that to kids, they didn't say that when they put that scholarship lottery up. They said any kid who graduated from an Arkansas school he get a scholarship to college, as long as he went to an Arkansas school. So hey, listen, if you're gonna continue to support them while they continue to kick us out of the program, so be it. But I'm not going to. I'm not buying any more lottery tickets. I ask that you join with me and not buy any more lottery tickets from the Arkansas.
Can I join with you after this week?
Well, after this week.
$208 million.
Man, we can Okay, you want to buy one more lottery ticket?
I gotta just try one more time.
Can we start like Sunday?
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunday. Okay.
No, start today.
No.
Start today. No more lottery tickets.
Getting my lottery ticket.
No more lottery tickets.
All right.
Till they change the requirement of how kids get the scholarship. No more lottery tickets. Let them drown in them damn lottery tickets.
All
My
right.
bad. Go ahead.
You wanna do your quote?
Hey y'all, spend money in your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
The Black Holocaust from 1619 to 1861. More than 15 million Africans were sold into slavery and over 35 million were killed by slave traders, making it the greatest Holocaust the world has ever known. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey Ryan, I need you to give me some lottery tickets while you out there rolling, man, because I can't get them in Arkansas. Man. Hey, can you give me 2 lottery tickets, dog? Give me 2 lottery tickets, man. Thank you, love you, peace.
You've been listening to Black
Let's see here. It still looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna go fishing today.
Hey, I'm talking to that guy today, and I'll hit you up.
Join us every week.
Okay, which guy?
The HUD guy.
Okay, yeah, let me know what's up with that.